So, one of the manga I found during my break was I Tell C, and oh boy, it gave me the most fun I had in years. But I must say, the first thing you should realize about this series, though, is that despite it being a detective manga with a mystery tag, this is not a murder mystery series. The first chapter was the only one so far with the setup of a murder mystery, although it didn't give much chance for the audience to solve the case. But there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that it needs to have a fulfilling first chapter and couldn't fit too much of it, and the whodunit aspect isn't what's really important. I'd say it's more of a mind game series, as we also get a variety of cases involving murder, including kidnapping, bank robbery, and a heist. We'll get more into that in a minute, but first let's talk about the best thing about this manga and what it's all really about, really. And that is the protagonist, who is an intelligently quirky Yandere detective goddess who has a criminal fetish. I already loved that. Aoi's obsession as she chased down the killer in the first chapter was really fun, and you know how far Aoi's love for criminals go? The next chapter is about a kidnapper who works as a taxi driver, and he gives girls this candy with sleeping drugs to bring them to his hideout and do what he wants with them. And you know what Aoi does? She intentionally eats the kidnapper's candy, putting her to sleep just so she can be with him. I wasn't sure what to say. It was certainly insane, but quite insanely awesome. This is like the weirdest case of damsel in distress I've ever seen, since the female lead didn't get captured due to her own weakness, but intentionally wanted to, and then when the kidnapper showed the picture of the dead girls and what he plans to do with her, she's in tears and at first appeared scared since she had duct tape over her mouth. But when the kidnapper took it off, it turned out she was smiling with tears of joy, saying she's so happy about that and freaking the kidnapper out. That was the weirdest fun I've had in a manga. Not sure if it's the most fun, but certainly the weirdest. But it isn't just mindless fun either. What makes all this even better is that the criminal fetish isn't just there for the sake of being quirky. There are hidden depths to them explored later, and is a really emotional story learning about how Aoi loved a kidnapper of hers, and that's why she loved criminals for some reason. Then later it's explored further. It turned out that she has a very good reason to love criminals, as someone needs to understand and help them. It also really fits the detective crime drama genre, where criminals often have many different motives, some being really sad, and a protagonist like Aoi is the perfect one for helping them. Like, you'd think Aoi would just be an insane head case, but then it turned out she's actually really sweet and precious in an insane way. Her antics are still fun, of course. She manages to make any kind of scene more enjoyable just by being there. Like in the cliffhanger when she opened a box with a wild smile, saying, "Why, it's a bomb, of course," before it blows up. Or when Phantom Thief Ma was playing at the roof and was wondering where Aoi is up to, and if you look carefully you can see her lying under Phantom Thief Ma's chair with the smile that can see into your soul. It's not just Aoi either. I Tell C comes up with a large variety of characters with different personalities. You got like the really serious characters like Ukon, a troll like Akiraka, and the villain Hikaru, who's a writer and make many meta remarks about the series. Like when he insults Sakon for being a generic moral fag main character, so the story is really aware of the conventions. When it comes to the mind games, it's fun to watch how characters outsmart their opponents, and sometimes it's fun to guess how they do it. Especially Aoi, who's the smartest and thus the star. Even the first chapter had some hints, like the picture where the victim was attacked, supposedly by an intruder, but she was in her seat, which she shouldn't do if someone just broke in through the window, so you can tell something was off. Then later, Aoi also took advantage of how Phantom Thief Ma relies on her followers for certain tasks, and Aoi infiltrates that follower group to trap her. There's also foreshadowing at the beginning of the case when Sako and stuff have gone missing. At first it seems as though it's just the usual casual fun moment, but then it turned out Aoi was stealing from him as a part of her plan to infiltrate Ma's followers. The manga shows it's certainly capable of intelligent procedures. I would like to see it do an actual whodunit though. That would of course require another murder case, and we're having a variety of different cases. Maybe it's too much to hope for. I think it's mostly consistent. I didn't spot many, if any, plot holes. I guess the closest I could find was that the kidnapper didn't notice what's under Aoi's coat when carrying her, but it wouldn't make much difference even if he did, so it's no big deal. Something that really worries me about the manga though is the production. Though I first thought it was reckless for the author to publish something so niche as a detective manga in Shonen Jump, they seem to be making insurances so that they have a proper ending in case they need one quickly. This is why things suddenly felt so fast-paced in the Ohira Mana arc, with the introduction of the villain responsible for the kidnapping in Aoi's backstory, and he should be an endgame villain. Although Ukon's death was certainly tragic, I think this manga is certainly great, and the best thing to come out in Shonen Jump for a long time. The problem is that these days, detective manga have become a very niche genre, so only a small specific population of the audience would be interested in trying it. As someone who often interacts with the anime and manga community, I rarely find anyone who actually has interest in detective manga, with the exception of the Detective Conan fandom. But that's because the series has been ongoing since the 90s and already garnered a dedicated fan base. There used to be a trend for detective manga in the 90s and pre-2010s, and I think ITLC would have fitted better then. But these days it's not just the fans. Detective manga have become rare. The only notable one recently was Detective Zeno in Shonen Jump, Shonen Sunday, which was still only 8 volumes, and that's like a couple of years ago, I think. 3 years ago, yeah. Moreover, choosing Jump to get published in itself is enough of a gamble as it is. Even if you're a good manga, you can easily get cancelled. Jump doesn't allow much time for manga to be found and by fans and gain popularity as a series, frequently getting axed at only 2 volumes. As 2 volumes time before getting axed isn't much time to be found by many fans who might like the series, You have to hope that the right people are reading that manga at the right time, and that you're not having any major competition with newcomers that are running at the same time as you. So in this case, the right people are detective fans, which, as I said, is a very niche genre, and that's why I'm really worried it might not do well in Jump. Although even as a detective manga, I recommend it even to people outside. I recommend it to people even if they're not fans of the genre because of how of how interesting the characters are done and the themes, and she's just very intriguing in general and amusing. Yeah, so if you like fun, interesting characters, you'll certainly like the series. Anyways, I know the author made insurances and it would be awkward to have the series going for too long after introducing the main villain already. But I still think it would be good for about 8 volumes. I'd like the series to live out its potential since I really love the characters. At this point, I'm at least hoping to allow it a satisfying ending. I'd like to support the series in any way I can. I know I can't have much influence on a magazine in Japan, but I'm at least buying all the volumes and already bought the first one on bookwalker.jp, by the way. Maybe you should too. Just try the manga, and if you like it, buying it is a good way to support it. You can find it on the Japanese Bookwalker site. You need to type in bookwalker.jp. And if you type the series with its katakana name, Aiterushi, or if you want a physical copy, you can buy on amazon.jp, but you're going to also have to pay the shipping price. So I recommend that only if you're rich. Another way I'm supporting the series, or at least trying to, is by talking about it here and share it with anyone watching and just showing my love for this manga in general. I don't usually talk about new Jump manga. I tried following Jump quite a bit during the last couple of years, and most of the new series didn't interest me much. Whether it's the popular ones like Marshall or Undead Unluck, or the ones that didn't do so well like Golem Hearts or Ghost Rider Paradox, that they didn't last long. When ITLC came out and I found it, it's been the one exception which I just had to talk about. How the first 4 chapters gave me more enjoyment than the entire season of Jujutsu Kaisen. Jump does have some fun manga still going, like My Hero Academia and Ayakishi Triangle. Both of them they're decent and fun, but ITLC has been the one manga I really found to be amazing in a long time. I think it has huge potential to be a masterpiece, and it would be a huge loss to the art of storytelling as a whole if it wasn't able to, and that would be really sad. You know that it's all been done excuse many people use when it comes to writing. Just tell me where else have you seen a character like Aioi before? Come on, go ahead. I would love to know. I think the author came up with some ideas that are not only unique, but also really quite beautiful in the concepts, quite literally too, as the art captures any of the cute or chilling tone of the story is going for, with the charming manga aesthetics. I know I should have mentioned that before, but I was so caught up in the story, but the art is great too. At the very least, I would like to see this wonderful manga continue in Shonen Jump Plus. So please, Shueisha, if you care about manga, you'd know this series deserves to live out its potential. I guess all I can do now is hope, but whatever happens, I'm so glad I found ITLC, and will forever remember what a huge impact it made for me just from what I read. I'm just really amazed. I'm just really surprised how amazed I am at Ayo's character, even after watching and reading thousands of other anime and manga in all my years as an otaku. It's also been nice talking about this wonderful manga to any of you who's listening. Thank you.